So in this question, we have to estimate the net force between the CO group and the HN group, where the charges on C and O are plus minus 0.4 E, and the H and N have charges plus minus 0.2 E, where E is the charge on an electron and K here is the Coulomb constant. And here we also don't need to include the internal forces between C and O and between H and N. So we can basically say that the force between C and O and the force between H and N is 0. So now the net force between the two groups will be, let's say this as the total force, or F net, is the force between C and H plus the force between C and N plus the force between O and H plus force between O and N. And there is no force between C and O, or we can simply say that we are ignoring it, and F, H and N. So these two are basically 0 in our equation. And this is equal to K times QC QH over RCH square plus FCN is equal to K times QC QN over RCN square plus FOH is KO KH over ROH square plus similarly KO KM over RON square. Let's mark this as square. Now let's move to find the distances between each of the atoms. So RCH is basically the distance between C and H, and we are given the distance between C and O R1, H and N R2, and O and N R3. So RCH will be basically equal to R3 minus R2 plus R1, and this gives me 0.3 nanometer, or in SI units this is 0.3 into 10 to the power minus 9 meter. Similarly, RCN will be equal to R3 plus R1. This is R3 plus R1, and this gives me 0.4 into 10 to the power minus 9 meter. ROH will be R3 minus R1 minus ROH will be R3 minus R2. This will be 0.18 into 10 to the power minus 9 meter. And RON is basically the distance R3. This is 0.28 into 10 to the power minus 9 meter. Now let's consider our directions now. So let's take the right direction to be positive and left to be negative. We don't need to consider the up and down here because there is no force, and because our system is basically one-dimensional. Now let's plug in all these values into this equation and see what we get. So what we get is F net equal to K times 40e 0.20 by, let's take the 10 to the power minus 9 meter from all the distances outside, and we get minus 1 over 0.3 square plus 1 over 0.4 square plus 1 over 0.18 square plus, sorry, minus 1 over 0.28 square. And we know the value of Coulomb constant, we know the value of the charge on one electron, and I have written them down here. So this equation then gives me my F net to be 2.445 positive times 10 to the power minus 10 Newton. Since the magnitude has a plus sign, we can say that the force has a value this and is pointed towards right. Thank you.